Hey everybody, George here. I am working on a table called Attack from Mars, and I'm to a point here where I want to add a option in the game tweaker on how to add a new option on the tweaker, and just kind of need to get down to where I need to do some work here. And I decided to be able to switch between two wire ramp sounds on the tweaker, and you see them here. In fact, it's yesterday I added the sound options for the playfield, and there's three of them there. And so I've decided today that I will uh, work on the wire ramp. And I've already added a little bit of code yesterday just to make sure everything will work. I wanted to test it a little bit just to be sure that this is worth doing. And I added this code in there to make it work, but I don't need that anymore, along with the dim that I'm going to delete there. And let me do a Control F and paste that in there, and you'll see these. This is the code that I've added right here. It used to look like this option up here with just the ball rolling sound and then the name of the sound, and I added these if-then statements in there so that it gives you two choices. And the tweaker will provide this part of it. So either there's only going to be two options. There's one that says for the wire ramp option, it would be number one, and it would play this sound, and number two would play this sound. So with that, I'm going to go back up to the beginning and go scroll down to where this is where the default sounds are for tweaker right here. This is the game tweaker default values. These are some of the options that I've already added, but that's the one I added yesterday, and I'll be moving those up here and putting some text in there along with it to make it so that end users can change the defaults if they choose to. So that's the one I added yesterday, and what we're going to do here is replace this dummy parameter. It's called number 7G, and as you saw earlier, the options are either going to be 1 or 2, so I'm going to change that 0.5 over to a 2 because I kind of like it. I like number 2 a little better than the first one, so the default will be 2. Now that we'll just I'll highlight that dummy parameter, click on replace, and I saved the name of the option here and I'll paste that. So all we do now is just find and replace this dummy parameter with the name that I've chosen to use for the new parameter, and we just click on replace, and we just keep on going through. There's the dim that I deleted earlier, and I'm going to be adding it back here. These are the options here that change when you press the left or right key. These are the options that control that, and we'll just replace all these. Basically any place it sees parameter 7G is going to be replaced, even in that name there. These are some additional placements, I'm just going to go ahead and replace those two. Let me go back over here. Okay, and then down here, these are some dims for those. You saw this name probably, game chart up here, that needs a dim. And I need another dim for the default. And these are some more, this is some code for the default values that's used. This is a continuation of what that set default values. It's up at the top of the script, but I divided it up so I didn't want to have to put all this stuff at the beginning of the script, because that's where end users will end up looking, and once this is set up, they won't ever have to do anything with it again. Now this is a section of code. This is sort of a duplicate of the code that's up above, and this is just refreshes the data. That's sometimes when you don't need to do all of the left and right arrow keys. And I have made an effort once to just use the other subroutine whenever this one was run, but I've found that it sometimes produced errors that more like memory errors, if I remember correctly. And I'm just going to continue on replacing here. So anyway, this is needed even though it looks like it duplicates something previously, and it does come pretty close. Now this is where it saves the settings into the FP RAM file. These are where it saves, or it's let me make sure of that. This is just a setup here. There is another one just like it down here. That's the save state, and that's where it saves. We just keep replacing parameter 7G until we don't have anything more to replace. And there we go. Nothing more to replace. This section in here, let me kind of delete a tab out of there so it aligns correctly. And this section here is actually where it pulls the data out of the FP RAM and displays it onto the tweaker when you shut down, and it will pull it up out of the FP RAM whenever you boot up. All the settings will get pulled up whenever you start it up, and they'll automatically load, whenever. So anyway, that's all the replacements. Now what we need to do now, there's some editing that has to be done. Now you can see here, these are all the dummy parameters, and that's that update thing. We don't really need to change anything there, and we'll go on up to that other section. And here it is. This is the ramp swap. Now we want to, you'll notice here we got an adjust G, value G. This is case 8. So what I need to do is go on up here and I'll show you something. These are the values that are used whenever you press the right arrow key, and so whenever we press a key, we want it to move one number up in this case. And let me go ahead and put a comment in here, and that helps to identify what it is you've got there. And then this section is the left arrow key, and what I'm going to do here is just change that to a 1, because what this does is it sets up an increment of how many numbers if it'll basically start with a number and then it'll add this to it, and you will so it just whenever you press the left arrow key, it will it'll set the number that is displayed on the DMD to from increments of 1. And let me kind of show you an Excel file that kind of explains that a little better. The values that are saved there have to be saved as a 2-digit number. And so I created this Excel file, and it's basically on this side, it's got divided in half. They're essentially duplicate, duplicate functions here, but only this one does a divide by, and this one does a multiply by. And so this is the increment that I was just talking about. So we want to increase, since we only got numbers of 1 and 2, we want to have an increment of 1, and that will so this number here is just added. It takes this increment and adds it to it, each of these to the one before it, basically. And this is where you start at. And in fact, we don't want to start at 0. We want to start at 1. And this is the saved value. Now, the tweaker has got to have 2 digits, or it's not going to work right. And so we need to do some kind of little bit of a arithmetic function here to make that 2 digits. And so what I've done what I've done before is just set that to a 9. And now you see that's set to 10. And what this does is this column here, this column multiplies this number by 1, and then the saved value here adds the 9 to it, and that's what gets saved to the FP RAM file. Now, when you open up a table that has data saved to it, it will pull the data out of there. It'll take this 10, and we do the exact reverse arithmetic function on it. So instead of adding 10 or adding 9, we subtract 9, and so we get the 1 back. And then we divide by this factor here, which it's a 1. So anything multiplied or divided by 1 is the same number. So that's just a way of not using that multiply function. There are times I do use it. Anyway, so you can see here, a 1 gets saved as a 10, and the 2 gets saved as a 11. And that's really all we need. But we can enter any 2-digit number, so we actually could set up to have 90 different settings in there, which I can't imagine anybody using that many, for just for something like this. So but anyway, I only need 2, so this will work. So let's go back to the table now, and so the increment is what these values are. Okay, and you see this adjusted value, and let's see, we're on parameter 8 down here, which is case 8, and right here, and there you see the adjusted value. So that gets plugged in, that 1 gets plugged in right there. And so we got to change these, and I did something like it up here, and so we need to put the highest number here, put a 2 there, and you can see here on this one up above, I put a low number. It's the 1. The lowest number is a 1. And down here I put a 1 and a 2 here. Okay, now we've got this is just a code, and this is some text that will display on the DMD. So the code has to have no spaces in there, but we can put spaces in the name that appears on the DMD. So let's just go ahead and put some spaces in there. Like that. And we've got to have a little bit more code here. There's some text option here, and what I did on this one, and it puts this text in this slot right here. So what I'm going to do, and this is the subroutine that starts the ball rolling. Whenever you change one of these swaps options here to a different number, you've got to run this, or it's going to keep the old value in the memory, and it won't change it unless that's there. So it has to rerun your ball rolling sounds again. And so what we're going to do is just copy all this, even this row down below here. Or we don't really have to do that. Let's just copy those 4 rows there. And we'll put a return there. And so we want to run that same subroutine when we change this one. I suppose the ball would have to be on a ramp in order for this to come into play, and somebody might do that, but it's not too likely. And what we'll need to do is to change these around, and let's see, we want to, first thing we need to do is change these names here. And we only got 2 sounds, so I shouldn't have added that one in there. And this text goes, what that does, that goes right. Let's do this. Let's see here. Let's just do that much. Let's just go to F9 or Y9 there. And the name. And go to Y9. And name. Go to Y9. Okay. And well, I forgot the brackets here. Okay, let's put the brackets in there where it's not going to work right. There. Now we got the text in the right spot. And so it's when it displays, it's going to say wire ball sound. Let's just call it 1 and 2 for the time being anyway. We might change it later. And that should, oh, got to put the sounds in there. I believe this one is simply called wire. I'll have to verify that, but I think it's correct. And this one is wire 2. Let's just check, make sure that is. Let me just kind of Control F to search for that. And there you are. That's where we were earlier. And then that's where it is now. So it matches. All right. Next step. Okay, we got this all set up. Then we need to go on down. And what we need, well, actually what we need to do is copy something here. We need to copy all this. And we need to scroll down now. You can see that we did the replacements, and so all that wire ramp sound snap swap is already in all these. And we need to go down to number 8. And this is the wire sound swap that we replaced, but I need to get rid of that and just put this in there. Let's see, I need a semicolon here. And there we go. So you can see I did this earlier at the other sound. This part of it didn't say earlier, but it just plays the name of that sound while you're working on the option, so you can hear what it sounds like when you're trying to make your selection. And this is the other part. So if you remember on the Excel file, we need to add a 9 right here. So I'm just going to copy that one over. This is where, this is the setup array. And then down here is, this is the save array. So this is what actually puts the numbers, saves the numbers into the FPRAM file. And maybe I should explain a little bit more about this. The way this works, so you can save gobs and gobs of parameters. Now there's like a limited number of save slots on Future Pinball, and you can got like NVR numbers like from 1 to 16 or so, and then there's an NVS 1 to 16 or so. And so what this does, let me see if I can find it, that code. But anyway, it somewhere, it's not in this spot right here, but this does set up the arrays, and but it doesn't have the NVS number. But anyway, there's an NVS this all saves to. And so you can save, the NVS has 14 characters in it, or actually 28, I should say. And Ravercade figured out some way of adding another set of 8 characters. And so we basically use 2 characters to define each parameter. And so that's where we get the 2 characters that I talked about earlier. And the advantage to this is that you can have a whole lot of parameters. I mean, the lighting tweaker I had done earlier has nearly 50 parameters, and there's just no way that you would have enough save slots to add all that. So this is a way that you can do that. So anyway, this adds our 9 before we save, so that it will make the 2-character code. So, like in the Excel file I showed you, we have either a 1 or a 2, so that gets saved as a 10 or 11 in this step right here, because of us adding that spot, that +9 right there. Now, we go on down here to this section. Now what this does, this subroutine here, it loads your saved values right there. That's the name of the sub, or somewhere. Here, load game string. Okay, that's what it is. And so this takes the data from the FP RAM. Okay, it's saved as a 10 or 11 now. So we can't use 10 or 11 in the tweaker up above. So what we need to do is subtract 9. Since we added 9 before, we can subtract 9 down here. And that makes it back, that converts it back to 1 and 2. And that's really the extent of all that. And let's see. Oh, there is one other thing I need to go do. And I need to go all the way up to where I was before. To case 8 up here. Right here. Okay. I've got some code that bypasses all these dummy parameters that are in there. The only reason those dummy parameters are in there is to make it easy to add a new parameter. So what we want to do is we're going to have to make a change, because if I don't change it, the new parameter we just added, it will not display on the DMD when I start the game. So the way I do this is I just think of it like number 8 is this sound, okay? The next one down is this dummy parameter. So when the option wants to display a 9, you really want it to display this option down here as 30. Now this will reset the settings in the tweaker to default, and this one will set to start up, and this one saves the settings. So instead of, okay, we want 30 to display, we don't want 29. So this is how you do it. So if we come to number 9, we want it to actually display 30. So let's just go on up here and look at some code right up here. And okay, so this is going down. As you can see, the arrow down key there. So it was a set at 8 because that new parameter wasn't there. So we just want to change that to 9. And it's already set to 30, so we'll just leave that. Now then, you might have noticed I was looking at another line of code down here earlier. and I was about to stop. But this is the up arrow key. So the way I think through that, go back down to this. When you're arrowing up, so you're arrowing up, you're displaying like the first thing you'll display if you're at the end is you'll save game, and then if you arrow up, you'll say the saves the start. Will reset the startup values, and this one will reset to the default. Okay, so the first dummy parameter is 29, and then when it wants to display 29, you really want it to come up here and display not number 9 but number 8, which is what we added. And so there, see, so we don't want, well, it's already set to 29, but we want this one to be 8. And that takes care of that. And we got okay, we're all right. There is a total number of this is the total number of cases that we have on there, and it is set to 32. Basically we're not adding any new parameter. We're really just replacing these dummy parameters, and these dummy parameters are functional. If you wanted to remove this bypass that I added in, you can display those, and they will adjust, using these values that are entered in there. They're the same for all of them, but we don't want to display that. And with that, we should be able to play the table. Okay, we're just about ready to test the table out here. There is one last thing that has to be done, and you have to go into the table info screen here, and we need to delete the old FB RAM. And if you click on this button, it will delete it. It says it resets it, but it just actually deletes it. What that does is, I've played this table before without having this new parameter in there, and if I don't delete the FP RAM, it will mess up and not display the right stuff. So with that, we'll just go ahead and start it out. This will give you a little bit of a preview of the table I'm working on. I've added quite a bit of graphics to it that you guys will probably like whenever I post it. I need to turn this volume down so that you can hear what I'm saying. And then we'll open up the tweaker. Oh, I got two places where you can display the DMD for the tweaker, and I moved it up to the HUD, and we'll just arrow down. And these are parameters I've entered later. There's some of these I have yet to add some of these graphic text there, like that one says the ray casting is a real-time dynamic thing. The music and this is the sidewalls of some other options. That's the option I added yesterday for the playfield sound, and then this is the one that we added today. And they're all set to, whenever you add a new value, and it just sets everything to the default, which is a 2 in this case. And with that, we can go ahead and give it a try. Let's go ahead and just start the game up. I got the ball rolling sound uses music, so I have to turn it up at least a little bit so you can hear what's going on. So there's the one wire ramp. Oh, well, it plays some sound there. It's kind of hard to hear, but we can go in and change it and go up this time. We'll get there a little faster. And we'll just change that to 1. And this is the other sound that you may not be able to tell much difference at this point, but there is a sound difference. Anyway, I probably need to up the volume on it a little bit, but everything works. And so I appreciate all of you listening and watching the video here, and hopefully maybe you'll be decide you want to try out the game tweaker that I've posted earlier.